How you doing, man? This is my buddy Billy, and I just thought it'd be cool to have him chat a little bit about, first of all, just a little background as to how he got clean and sober, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about COVID and how that might affect or not affect his recovery. So, yeah, let's check this out. So go ahead, man. So when did you start your journey?
How's my video, first of all? Is it good?
Yeah, you're a handsome devil, man. You got studio lighting and the whole bit, man. You're rocking it, bro. How do you got that? First, tell us about your wife. What does she do?
My wife, she's a photographer, and we have a little boy. He's about to turn 10 in October, and so family's been healthy. Everything's good.
Right.
My journey in recovery started when I was 32 years old, almost 6 years ago. So it was October 10th, 2014, exactly 4 days after my son's fourth birthday. And that was the day I got kicked out of the house. And 5 days later, I ended up or it was a Monday. And then that Friday, I ended up in Maynard's, which is where I met Eric.
Maynard's being a
recovery rehab facility up in Tuolumne.
Right on. And how's the journey been? And what would you say has been like the secret to your success, man? I know that's kind of a broad question, but
no,
I
think it's a good question because when I ended up there, when I ended up in Maynard's up in Tuolumne, I was at a point in my life where I was ready for some real change. I had tried to do things my own way for long enough, and I knew deep down I had been, beaten. I had a feeling that if I hadn't taken the time, those 28 days I was there, to really create some change in my life, I really didn't stand a chance. I had tried, a thousand different ways to do it my way, and none of them worked. And it got to the point where, I was on the verge of divorce. I finally got fired from my first job ever in 16 years of employment. I wasn't the guy that you let go. I was the guy that was kept around, and I got bad enough to where, I got fired, and I had to come home that weekend, which was the weekend of my son's fourth birthday, and lied all weekend to all the family. And that Monday was his actual birthday. And when I didn't go to work, my wife, she knew something was going on, but she, I had to tell her that I had been lying about everything, and that I was back to doing everything I promised I would never do. I had went to an outpatient program when I was 27, and I only went to one AA meeting, and I wasn't practicing any steps. I wasn't doing any type of recovery, and I was miserable. And that only lasted about 11 months. Mm-hmm. And then in the following 3 years after that, I got worse very fast. Like it talks about, you pick up where you left off, and then it accelerates very quickly, which is what happened to me. I think I needed that to happen so that I knew that deep down that I needed something different. I needed a real change in my life, and not just removing the alcohol and drugs, but just a change that AA has provided for me through working the steps and choosing to have a higher power, choosing to build that relationship with a power greater than myself.
Right on, man. One of the things I talk a lot about in the groups is how important it is to keep our recovery our top priority, and that it even needs to, in some ways, take precedence over family, over jobs, because if I'm not staying clean, then I ain't no good to any of them. Right. So especially now with the whole COVID thing going on, has it been really important to keep that, they say, keep the main thing, keeping your recovery first? And how's the whole COVID thing been for you in your life?
So, it's actually pretty amazing. I've been able to handle the whole thing in stride. I took almost 2 months off of work, a month and a half. I took off of work to just make sure that my family was safe and that we would be okay. And I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have been able to do that before in the past. There's no way that I would have been able to be home for a month and a half straight, not leaving anywhere, and still be married by the time that was over.
Right.
and you know, when the whole thing was said and done, you know, my wife told me it was a pleasure to have me home, and it was great that we got to spend that time together. Without it, I wouldn't have my family and the things that I want in my life. My life wouldn't be the way that it is today without recovery and the things that I do to maintain that. I don't do it for anybody but myself. But what happens is the happiness of my family is like a byproduct of my recovery. You know, I get to have these things, and because of the work that I put in on a daily basis every single day.
Right.
And you know, it's like we were reading in our book study last night. You know, I can't rest on my laurels. I can't rest on my past achievements. I need to continue to build and grow spiritually, and and in my recovery, if I even stand a chance.
So do you feel like being so involved in your recovery has taken some of the anxiety out of this whole thing? Because it seems like the whole world is operating in fear right now to some level or another. Has it helped you not to get overwhelmed by, what's going on?
In all aspects of my life, it does that. You know, I don't stress out like I used to. I don't have the anxieties that I used to. You know, I used to be on, you know, when I went to that outpatient program, I was on anxiety and depression pills, you know, because I felt like I needed something. But, you know, what I really needed was, you know, a spiritual change in my life. I needed to develop that relationship that I have today. And with that, you know, as crazy as it sounds, because trust me, I'm not somebody that has a religious background. I never relied on God. I didn't want to. I was really scared when I came into rehab. And I think it's important that I share that because of what a big part of prayer and meditation are in my life today. And it's not from a religious standpoint. It's not to say that, you know, people that are religious, there's anything wrong with that. I had a big problem with that. But today, you know, I have a higher power of my own understanding, and that I believe is one of the biggest changes in my life today. And it helps me to not freak out and have anxieties, and it teaches me and has taught me to handle things as they come, just like this whole, you know, not to freak out and just, you know, throw a fit or say that this isn't fair because this is what's happening.
Right, for sure. And one of those strategies, I guess, when you talk about quarantine, it is just a total opposite of what recovery is, right? Because recovery is
Yeah.
all about community, quarantine is about isolation. So, how in this quarantine kind of world right now, with all the isolation, are you still able to create community for yourself in your life, man, through recovery? I mean,
So, you know, the Zoom meetings, you know, is a big one, and phone calls, picking up the phone, calling people that are in recovery and that know what I'm going through. Not just people in recovery, but you know, in my life today, it's not a secret. You know, people know that I go to AA and that I'm in recovery and that I don't, you know, drink at all, and that I used to have a problem with, you know, drugs and stuff, and so um my life for the most part is an open book to most people that I allow it to be. And so I reach out to those people, and especially in recovery, you know, I have a sponsor. I have great friends, you and Chris, and a handful of other people that I keep in constant contact with. And so, you know, just because I can't go to a meeting physically, I still got out of my comfort zone, and I started going on these Zoom meetings, you know. Which is not something that I really wanted to do and have a desire to do, but my desire for sobriety is much stronger. So I just get through all that awkwardness and just do it.
you said that you got booted out of the house, right? Before you got sober, clean and sober. And then in this COVID thing, your wife said how pleasant it is having you at home. So
Yeah,
how the heck does this transformation take place in a guy where she's once you're gone and now she's grateful to have you around?
a lot of hard work every single day. You know, I wake up and I read positive literature. I make time for just meditation, quiet time, you know, and which is kind of prayer and meditation together. I read prayers to teach me, you know, how to even pray. I come into recovery, I don't even know how to pray. I don't know what to do. Most of my prayers consisted of, God, help me get out of this mess. And so,
Right.
you know, with you and, you know, a buddy of ours that we send, you know, gratitude lists and what we're grateful for and how things are going, and talking about what's really going on.
Right.
And it's all those things that that make me, that have changed me into a different person.
So yeah, man. So you were talking about, the importance of connection. You, me, and Chris. Another guy that was in treatment with us. We hang out a lot together. On the Zoom meetings. We've been in a few, not enough times, but we've actually had our own little, recovery sessions on Zoom, and it's actually a great way to stay connected. I mean, I actually have a lot of fun with it because I get to see guys like you that live in, far away, for me, and
Yeah.
we still get to connect, without me having to drive up a few hours or, all the way up to Sonora, which is, that's 6 hours now. So hell, I've even been in meetings in Ireland, and I don't understand a word they're saying, but it's pretty fun.
I
You
bet
know?
it's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, you see, it's a blast, man, and it's like recovery can be enjoyable, and we can still enjoy it even, in this really crazy time, man. So I don't know, has it been kind of like a beacon for you, or that lighthouse that's keeping you, from going bonkers?
Yeah, you know what it is. I've taken this whole experience as a reminder to what I need to continue to do every day. It's I can either go stir crazy and be a pissed off dude, and it's not going to change what's going on, or I can work towards finding happiness in all situations. Is which
Right.
is what I try to do. I mean, as cheesy as it may sound, what I'm saying, it's all very real in my life. So, if you would have told me this, like, almost 6 years ago, when I was sitting up in that room, and my life would be as good as it is today, I would have probably kissed your ass. I don't, you know, like the word sobriety, sobriety and happiness just didn't go in the same sentence for me. So, but it's real in my life today, and it's because of constantly working toward that goal of recovery and change.
Cool. One last thing, man, just because it occurred to me, the one thing I've discovered is, yeah, we do a lot of work, but the work is pretty enjoyable, at least for me. I look forward to getting up and doing my jam, the things I do for my sobriety. So I was going to ask you, does it seem like a chore to you, or do you like doing it, and how do you make it enjoyable, if so?
So I'll take it all the way back to the beginning, where it did seem like it was kind of a chore because it was so new, and and but I was so desperate that I just kept doing it every day, every day, every day. And then it finally, probably about a year into it, or so it became like I missed it when I didn't do it. And now I find that I have more energy now that I do it. Like, I find that the time that I take to put into myself and into recovery, I have more energy, more focus, and more enjoyment in everything I do because of the fact that I take some time in the morning, and little bits of time throughout my day to change my thinking, and it doesn't seem like it's a chore, or it's just part of my life. And I honestly find that, when I do it, I have a much better experience throughout my day, and I have more energy because of doing it.
Right on, man. Hey, thanks for taking the time, buddy. I appreciate it.
Anytime,
All
anytime.
right.